Welcome to the 2K Sports Studios. I'm Greg Gumbel, along with my partner Clark Kellogg. Coming up on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll preview some of the biggest games coming up this week in the NCAA, as well as show you the best action from around the nation. But we begin with a special player who was an easy choice as our Player of the Week in college basketball.
Braun is our choice this week, and he might be winning an even bigger award at the end of the year. There's a lot of talk about him as a Player of the Year candidate.
To say he was lights out would be an understatement. He had an unbelievable week shooting the ball. He put on an exhibition to the point that his teammates didn't even go to the hoop for a rebound when he put up a shot. They knew it was going in. As you can see, he got the hot hand and never cooled down. Now let's take a look ahead to the games that get top billing on the schedule in the days to come. This should be a terrific matchup. Both these teams are fighting to improve their position among the nation's elite teams, and they're going to have to go through each other to do it.
USC plays a brand of defense that should make the difference in this game. They are a tough team to score against. And if you don't squeeze the orange, they'll take it. I think they'll be in top form for this contest.
And there's another game on the agenda that's too juicy to ignore. This is a special rivalry in college basketball. Doesn't matter what time of year it is, or even what year for that matter, when these two get together. You can always count on a fierce competitive contest.
Oklahoma should come out on top if I had to make a prediction. Their backcourt is so solid this year, and their guards love to get out and run. That gives them a huge advantage in a game that should be as fast-paced as this one will be.
Now, let's turn our attention to some of the action of the past week in the NCAA with our Games of the Week. We get things rolling with a matchup of two of college hoops' most storied teams. North Carolina toppled Duke.
These teams are woven into the fabric of college basketball, and even the casual fan is interested when they're on the court together. North Carolina played some absolutely stifling defense. They made the guys on the other side work for every basket, and you can see that reflected in the shooting percentage. They never let up on the defensive end. That really took the pressure off the offense and allowed them to dictate the tempo of the game. To me, that was the biggest factor.
And two teams, each enjoying a spot in the top 25, got together. Washington overpowered Cal.
The posters love games like this. It makes their job easy. When you've got two ranked teams like this going up against each other, you can just sit back and see who should go up and who should move down. Wisniewski had the hot hand on the winning side. His 18 points led the team. Watching him basically put his teammates on his back and single-handedly carry them to the victory in a big game situation like this was stupendous.
That's our show, everyone. For all of us here at the 2K Sports Studios, thank you for watching. We'll see you next week on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. Welcome to the 2K Sports Studios. I'm Greg Gumbel, along with my partner Clark Kellogg. Coming up on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll preview some of the biggest games coming up this week in the NCAA, as well as show you the best action from around the nation. But we begin with a special player who was an easy choice as our Player of the Week in college basketball.
Jack is our choice this week, and he might be winning an even bigger award at the end of the year. There's a lot of talk about him as a Player of the Year candidate.
It was a magical week for him, Clark, no doubt about it. The fans really got behind him as the points kept piling up, and you could see him feed off their energy. He's a cult hero to those people now, and if he has a few more weeks like this one, he'll be one of the all-time legends at that university. Now let's take a look ahead to the games that get top billing on the schedule in the days to come. This is a special rivalry in college basketball. Doesn't matter what time of year it is, or even what year for that matter, when these two get together. You can always count on a fierce competitive contest.
Oklahoma should come out on top if I had to make a prediction. Their backcourt is so solid this year, and their guards love to get out and run. That gives them a huge advantage in a game that should be as fast-paced as this one will be.
And we have another upcoming contest that promises to be a classic. A meeting between a pair of top 10 teams is always entertaining, and there's certain to be plenty of action in this game. Neither side is going to give an inch in this contest. You can be sure of that.
Florida plays a brand of defense that should make the difference in this game. They are a tough team to score against. And if you don't squeeze the orange, they'll take it. I think they'll be in top form for this contest.
Now, let's turn our attention to some of the action of the past week in the NCAA with our Games of the Week. We get started with an important conference battle in the Big 12. Colorado got by Oklahoma.
The Colorado Buffaloes made the most of their opportunity to move up, and that's going to serve them very well as we get closer to conference tournament time, even if it's just in seeding position. Colorado can probably take something away from this win and build on it over the next few games. You can see by the highlights that they were really firing on all cylinders. Coach had a big smile on his face after this one, and I'm sure he's hoping this is the start of something special, too.
And two teams, each enjoying a spot in the top 25, got together. Oregon dismantled Washington.
The posters love games like this. It makes their job easy. When you've got two ranked teams like this going up against each other, you can just sit back and see who should go up and who should move down.
It is an annual rite of spring, bringing with it excitement and emotion that can be found in no other sporting event, the NCAA tournament. Your wait is finally over, the brackets are ready, and the drama of March Madness is about to begin. Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel, and this is the NCAA Championship Basketball Selection Show, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. Joining me at the anchor desk, as always, my partner, Clark Kellogg. We're all set to show you the seedings and pairings, so get out your bracket sheet, get those pencils ready. Here are the basics. Of the 65 available tournament bids, 31 are automatically given to conference champions. The tournament committee hands out the remaining 34 bids on an at-large basis. An opening round game will take place on Tuesday night to narrow the field to 64 teams. But before we unveil the brackets for this season, here's a look at the final top 25 media poll of the season. There are a couple of major changes in the rankings as March Madness approaches. There's a new team perched at the top of the poll. The Connecticut Huskies are the new #1. No doubt they're thrilled to be on the top of the heap just as the tournament gets set to begin. The Oklahoma Sooners had been the #1 team, but stumbled after spending 8 weeks at the top. There was also a big move made up the poll. The Michigan State Spartans jumped all the way from the number 23 spot to number 17.
They're peaking at just the right time, Greg. This is exactly the way you want to be playing going into the tournament.
It's time to talk about the topic that has a lot of players and coaches holding their breath right now, the NCAA tournament bubble. These are the 10 teams that aren't worried as much about where they'll be playing as if they'll be playing. Clark, who jumps out at you there?
Illinois State isn't among the very strongest of the non-power conference teams, but they're pretty close. I'm sure they were hoping for a better showing at their conference tournament. Now it's sit and wait time.
And we have a few more teams in similar position, right, Clark?
Kansas State has been up and down this year, and it's a matter of which part of their schedule the committee wants to look at, the up part or the down part.
I'm sure it's been a long week for those teams, but the wait's almost over. The NCAA Selection Committee has finished its meeting, and we're ready to unveil the top 4 seeds in this year's tournament. The Oklahoma Sooners are the top overall seed, and they will play in the East Regional. The selection committee differed with the media on who the #1 team in the country is, but the committee is the important one at this point, and we'll soon see if their faith in this team is warranted. On to the second #1 seed, who will play in the San Antonio Regional. The Connecticut Huskies are seeking their 4th NCAA championship in school history. The Florida State Seminoles are our 3rd #1 seed, and they'll play in the St. Louis Regional. They returned to the tournament after not making the field last year, so this will be a new experience for some of their younger players. And finally, our 4th #1 seed will play in the San Jose Regional. The Maryland Terrapins are in the tournament field as a #1 seed for the 2nd time in the history of their program. Now, here's how the brackets shape up based on where the #1 seeds have been assigned. In one national semifinal game, the winner of the East Regional will play the winner of the San Antonio Regional. In the other semifinal game, the winner of the St. Louis Regional will play the winner of the San Jose Regional. Those games will be played on Saturday, April the 2nd. Then it'll be on to the national championship game on Monday night, April the 4th. Anything shocking to you about those picks?
Not really. We talked all week about these 4 teams being the solid #1 seed, and I think the selection committee got it right. There isn't a whole lot of controversy with these picks.
So, with the #1 seeds out of the way, it's finally time to tackle the rest of the brackets. First up, we take a look at the East Regional. The Oklahoma Sooners are the top seed, and next up, our #7 Washington comes in as the #3 seed, finishing at 21-10. Pacific comes in to face them at #14 with 17 wins in the tournament championship of the Big West. The Dayton Flyers are in as the #6 seed. They'll be taking on the #11 seed, the St. Joseph's Hawks, with 18 wins. Some of the lower seeds in this bracket have the ability to not only compete with the high seeds, but win a few games. The potential for a Cinderella or two in this bracket is definitely there. Next up, we'll take a look at the San Antonio Regional. The Connecticut Huskies are the top seed, finishing at 25-7. They were winners of the regular season championship in the Big East. They'll take on the Norfolk State Spartans, the #16 ranked team. This marks their first appearance in the NCAA tournament in school history. Vanderbilt comes in as the #8 seed, finishing at 20-12. DePaul comes in to face them at #9 with 17 wins and a legion of loyal fans just dying for some tournament success. Cincinnati comes in as the #4 seed, finishing at 24-9. And they'll take on the 13th seed from the West Coast Conference, the Santa Clara Broncos, with 18 wins. Ohio State enters the field as the number 5 seed from the Big Ten. It's yet another appearance in the brackets for a school that's no stranger to the NCAA tournament. They'll be getting ready to face the number 12 seed, the Wichita State Shockers. Finished the season with 18 wins.
The Ohio State Buckeyes are a team that is just so powerful and strong up front. I would put their front court up against just about any other teams in the nation right now. It's always good to have strong guard play, but if you ask most coaches, I guarantee you they take the good big man over the good little man most times. Their interior play should serve them very well in this competition.
Our number 2 seed is from the Pac-10. The USC Trojans are on a hot streak, having just won their conference tournament championship. They're going to play the number 15 seed, the Grambling State Tigers, who came in first in their conference tournament, finishing at 13-15. Next up is the number 7 seed. The Nebraska Cornhuskers have established themselves as one of the best teams from the Big 12. They'll be going up against the number 10 seed, the UCLA Bruins, with 19 wins. They return once more to the very familiar surroundings of the NCAA tournament. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons are in as the number 3 seed. They'll be taking on the number 14 seed, the Boise State Broncos, with 18 wins. And now the number 6 seed, the Detroit Titans, come into the tournament first in their conference during the regular season and were semifinalists in their conference tournament. They are going to play the number 11 seed, the San Diego State Aztecs, who were second in their conference, finishing at 19-10. There are going to be some incredible matchups in the later rounds of this bracket. If the top seeds can avoid the early upsets, we can look forward to some real heavyweight battles. On to our third bracket of the day. The Florida State Providence enters the field as the number 4, the North Carolina Tar Florida. Next up is the number 7, and now the number Wisconsin and the Maryland. Next up, Iowa comes in as the number 5 seed, finishing at 18-12. And they will take on the 12th seed from the Northeast Conference, the Terriers of St. Francis, with 26 wins. Washington State enters the field as the number 2 seed from the Pac-10. This is their 9th appearance ever in the NCAA tournament. They'll be getting ready to face the number 15 seed, and now the number 7 seed, the Richmond Spiders, come into the tournament after finishing second in their conference during the regular season and were winners of their conference tournament. They are going to play the number 10 seed, the Arkansas Razorbacks, who were third in their conference, finishing at 20-11. The Michigan State Spartans are in as the number 3 seed. They'll be taking on the number 14 seed, the Texas State Bobcats, with 18 wins. Our number 6 seed is from the ACC. The Boston College Eagles were rewarded for their outstanding play this season with an at-large bid and a ticket to the big dance. They are going to play the number 11 seed, the Cornell Big Red, who were regular season champions in their conference, finishing at 18-8. It's the first question every selection Sunday. Clark, give us your take on the tournament's top 16 seeds.
Michigan State surprised me with their seed. I thought their performance this season would put them in as a 4 seed. Connecticut is going to be an extremely difficult matchup for any and all of their opponents. I say all of their opponents because I think they'll have a lot of them. They're going a long way in this tournament.
Now, let's bring the conference picture into focus. The Big East gets 9 teams. The ACC with 6. 6 out of the Pac-10. The Big Ten gets 5 teams.
What a down year for the non-power conferences. We're used to seeing at least one of those conferences compete on the level of the power conferences, but not this year.
It's too bad we didn't see more small conference schools in the tournament. None of those conferences got more than 1 team in the tourney, and I don't expect any David and Goliath stories out of the teams that did get in.
I'm surprised there were so few bids for the teams in the Mountain West Conference. It was an especially disappointing year for that conference. Usually you can count on a few of the nation's elite teams coming out of there, but this was a season where very few of those teams could maintain any type of positive momentum.
We showed you the bubble teams before. Now that we know who's in and who's out, what do you think of the selections, Clark?
San Diego State had a terrific finish to the season, and I'm sure that's what put them in the field. The selection committee doesn't want teams to back into the tournament. They want teams to come in playing good basketball.
While they start prepping for their first-round games, the 5 teams on the other side of the page will be full-time students again.
Delaware doesn't have the major conference label, and sometimes that's going to be a knock against you when you're on the bubble. They had a decent year, but in a conference like theirs, decent doesn't get it done.
All right, Clark. Welcome, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel here with my partner, Clark Kellogg. Just ahead on the special NCAA tournament edition of College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll preview the marquee matchups of the Sweet 16, as well as show you some of the great action from the first 2 rounds. But we begin with the player who dominated the first week of the tournament.
Kovacevic had as good a week as we have seen from a small forward all season. He was nearly unstoppable in all facets of the game.
Absolutely, Clark. He didn't waste any time getting hot. A lot of players want to save their best for the end of the tournament. Well, he was on fire right from the opening tip, and it carried over into the second round. One look at these highlights, you'll see why he's our player of the week and why his team is on the way to the Sweet 16. Now, let's turn our attention to a few of the huge battles upcoming this week in the Sweet 16. We're really getting into the meat of March Madness now. This should be a terrific matchup. Both these teams are fighting to improve their position among the nation's elite teams, and they're going to have to go through each other to do it.
Wake Forest plays a brand of defense that should make the difference in this game. They are a tough team to score against. And if you don't squeeze the orange, they'll take it. I think they'll be in top form for this contest.
And how about another huge matchup from the third round? This will be a fantastic battle. This is shaping up to be a prototypical style versus style matchup. Great scorers on one side of the court, great defenders on the other. This is going to be a real showdown.
Cal gets my vote, partner. They just seem to be playing at an extremely high level right now. Their ability to adapt to any style is what impresses me the most. If one thing isn't working for them, they can lean on something else without missing a beat.
As usual, the first weekend of March Madness had what are sure to be some of the most dramatic contests of the entire tournament. Our first game was an outstanding matchup from the first round. Washington State dismantled Lipscomb.
Well, Greg, this game wasn't decided until that final buzzer sounded. A couple of different bounces one way or the other, and this could have been a totally different outcome. Cool took care of business in this one. His 15 points led the team. Watching him basically put his teammates on his back and single-handedly carry them to the victory in a big game situation like this was stupendous. And for him to have a game like that on college basketball's grandest stage, the NCAA tournament, is simply phenomenal, Greg. What a performance.
This next game was another superb March Madness battle. Cal dismantled Sacramento State.
The California Golden Bears were intensely focused coming into this game, and their preparation was outstanding. They looked like they were ready for anything, Greg, kind of like you are when we come into the studio. Cal really muscled up down low and was able to convert a lot of easy chances close to the basket. Whether it was the big men or the guards, they made the most of their opportunity. They established their inside presence from the start and were able to rely on getting their points down low throughout the game.
That's our show, everyone. For all of us here at the 2K Sports Studios, thanks for watching. Enjoy the tournament. We'll see you next week on College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer.